is what I've got. I saw a horse the other day.
Nope, not sending that. Not sending
It's
that.
not done.
I might have done it wrong, but that is also wrong.
Welcome to the Holy Mess Podcast. I'm Joy.
And I'm Bekah.
If you feel like you're a mess, you are not alone. We share the things of life through a lens of faith, and we find the hope in all of it.
On this week's episode, one of us is incredibly uncool. The other one almost accidentally kidnapped a kid. It was totally legal. It's fine. And we talk about how technology, when you reach a certain age, you just kind of feel lost in it. But first, our messy moments of the week.
I don't even know where to start.
It's very messy, apparently.
Well, it's fresh. It just happened this morning. So I decided to process it with you. We're friends in this messy family. And it has to do with my son. I'm sorry. Again, this is the messiest part of my life.
Stop. Why are you apologizing?
Because I don't know how to be a mother. And it was proven today because my son wanted to go for a walk. Not a big deal. I try to get him outside and exercise that energy before daycare. And the problem is, every time we go for a walk, he decides he's not coming home. I don't know if he doesn't like living with me. He's like, he wants to go into this other neighborhood that does not loop around to ours. I mean, he's just little. He doesn't get it. And I always try to stop him because if we go too far, I have to carry him all the way home.
Oh.
Up hills and stuff. I mean, it's awful.
Does he just want to keep running, or does he pick a house to just move into?
I think he just wants to explore. Like, he just kind of like runs. There's a certain spot where he always wants to, there's a stop sign he gets to. We have to turn around, and he just like books it into this other neighborhood.
He's like, maybe if she can't catch me, this walk's going to continue forever.
And I can't. I get winded going upstairs.
Yeah.
Like, I really can't. He's getting really big and fast. So at the stop sign today, I'm carrying all of our mail because our mailbox is far away. I decide to get it on the way. And he goes, I mean, I knew there was a chance. He just goes for it, starts running, the opposite direction. So I have to run and get in front of him and try to block his body and be like, no, we're not. We're going home. Turn around. So he throws himself down and starts doing like a mixture of toddler martial arts and like limp body. It's really amazing what they can do. And so I'm trying to turn his body around, but also keep him from smashing his head on the concrete.
Right.
That's my job as a mother. So as this is happening, a car pulls up beside us to go to the stop sign, but I notice they stop right beside us, shy of the stop sign.
Oh, so they are like in your business now.
Yeah, so I look up and this woman is just staring me down, and I'm like, why is she doing that? I mean, I know we're making a scene, but as I try to assess the situation, I realize she thinks I'm trying to abduct my toddler. And I literally don't know how to respond because I'm angry, I'm embarrassed. I'm also grateful for how she cares about my little boy.
Yeah.
But I thought, how do I make it look like I'm not trying to abduct him? Because I'm going to physically drag him back to the house if I have to. And
I am abducting him, but it's legal.
Right. At this point, I'm like spilling mail everywhere. My hair is in my face. And I'm like, come on, turn around. And so to try to show her it's okay, I'm like pointing with my arm like, home is this way. We're going this way. And she's like doing this weird, slowly crawling up to the stop sign, just staring at us. I literally looked at my son and I said, this woman's going to call the cops on us if you don't shape up. And I think he was like, what does that mean? Because he stopped fighting me for a second. I think she realized that I maybe didn't look like a criminal. I don't know what she thought, but she eventually did pull away. But I think I was so red in the face because you don't want your parenting stressful moments to be on display. I'm on the corner of a busy neighborhood, and I don't know why I look like a criminal, but I know I did.
I don't think you do. Of all the people who look like criminals, I think you're at the bottom of the list.
But you never see me wrestle a 2-year-old.
That's very true. I'm curious, though, if she had rolled down the window and just said, hey, can I help you in any way? Would that have been well received? Because I'm wondering if maybe that's what was going through her head.
I think if she wanted to help, I probably would have been okay with it. But I don't know, other than being like, can you like hold my mail for a second? I don't know. Or I would have been like, could you drive this mail up to my house? This is where it is. Because I couldn't like wrestle him and carry the mail. But I don't know. I think I could tell she was judging me. And I still have mixed feelings about it because I was so embarrassed. But at the same time, if she's on neighborhood watch and making sure people aren't snatching toddlers, I'm grateful for that.
For sure.
I don't know where my kid's going to be at any given moment.
I ask that because we have a child who lives next door, and he's a bit of a wild child. I think he and Judah would get along in just that they're both very strong-willed, and they see something, and they just are going to go full speed ahead at it. Like your son, Judah, I have never met a child who is like just so... You can't distract the kid. You can't.
It's just special. And I appreciate the people who've listened to our podcast and have been like, Joy, you just need to do this, because they're trying to be really helpful. But I'm also like, I think you had a different kid than me, because we tried that. It doesn't work. But
this next door neighbor, his big thing is he loves to play on our porch. And which we've told, like, the mom's always apologizing. We're like, no, it's totally fine. Like, if he loves to open and close the gate, great.
That's so sweet.
He's now, though, started letting himself in the house.
Snap, Bekah.
So, like, the camera will go off for our front porch, and there's Brayden in a diaper and a bike helmet, just, like, ready to party. And so
also, he's probably letting your dogs out, which is not great.
He hasn't yet, but I invited her in the other day because he had just let himself in, and she's appalled. And I'm like, no, come in. And I know her well enough and stuff.
You're such a nice neighbor.
And I'm talking to her, and all of a sudden I'm like, where'd the child go? Where'd the dogs go? And Brayden's just sitting in the dog crate with our 5-month-old puppy.
That's so sweet.
And the puppy gives him kisses, and I'm like, well, that kind of works.
Yeah, she needs to get one of those crates. It sounds like. No, I don't support that.
No, it is funny.
I literally don't.
But it's funny. Okay, my messy moment comes, actually it's child related as well. I am an aunt to 8 nieces and nephews. It is
so many, Bekah.
It really is.
Do you do birthdays and special?
We do.
Expensive.
It has got expensive, but we do all like the special birthday cards. Like I always get like the $6 card at the store because we're the cool aunt and uncle, and they get $20 each for their birthdays because we're the cool aunt and uncle. That is my thing. Why are you making that face?
Well, because it sounds so expensive to be cool.
It is. Well, I didn't expect them to have so many kids.
You started it with one. You can't really drop it.
You really can't.
They're like, that kid's the favorite. He got 20s.
I hate it too because I even send it to like the 1-year-olds. I'm like, here's $20.
It will take them forever to spend that.
But the point of this is we want to be the cool aunt and uncle, especially being childless ourselves. Like,
you're doing a great job.
I remember I had an aunt that had a daughter, but she was a bit older, and she was just the cool aunt. And I wanted her advice on things, and I wanted to talk to her about things. And I remember the first time a boy broke my heart, she bought me chocolate.
Wow.
That's what I want to be for my nieces and nephews. It seems that I'm failing at that.
Why?
My almost 13-year-old niece has a cell phone now. I did not have her number. I didn't even know she had a phone for quite some time. So I finally got her number. And I'm like, all right, I'm cool aunt, like cool aunt. So I text her, and I'm going to read you the text. We can break this down. Hey, Gabriella, just keeping it casual. This is Aunt Bekah, which sounds kind of lame, but you have to identify yourself.
I think it's fine.
My mom gave me your number. I said my mom instead of Nana because Nana I felt like was too childish. I'm really overanalyzing this, I know. And I wanted to make sure you had mine.
And?
That's it. That's all I texted. I didn't want to be all up in her business.
But you didn't engage, really.
I wanted to start the conversation. I waited 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I finally got a reply that said, okay.
Yeah. That's to be expected,
Why?
Bekah. Because you didn't give her a platform to dive off of. You gave her just a period with no questions, no engagement. If someone reached out to me and was like, I got your number, wanted you to have mine, I also would be like, okay.
What should I have said instead?
Something like a question. Like,
what do I ask a 12-year-old? I don't know.
Are you excited for school to start back? Are you on any sports teams? What's your favorite TV show right now? We're watching America's Got Talent. I don't know anything to build a bridge.
I didn't.
You threw yourself off the cliff.
I did. But here's the thing. I didn't want to be that aunt that's like all up in her business. Like, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite spaghetti? What?
I think that's the only way to engage with teens, but I know nothing. So
I have been pulling this text message thread up since this has been almost a week now.
You haven't texted back?
I haven't texted back.
How are you going to have a relationship with her if you never ask her a question?
How do I follow up to okay?
We're going to form a question together right now on the podcast. And if we do it poorly, please tell us. Okay, she's 13?
Almost.
Okay, what are 13-year-old girls into? TikTok?
I don't think she's allowed.
She's probably not allowed. Okay,
no.
what is she into? Is she on any sports teams?
She likes horses.
Okay. This is bad. This is what I've got. I saw a horse the other day.
Nope, not sending that. Not sending
It's
that.
not done.
I might have done it wrong, but that is also wrong.
Have you seen any horses you liked recently? That's not good, but I'm just saying this week where we could start. Hey, school's starting back. Be like, hey, just
Are you taking your horse to school with you?
Just curious if you're excited about school starting. What day do you go back? I'll be praying for you that day, Aunt Bekah. Then you're godly, you're a leader.
But then that's still like she's just going to say, okay.
She'll give you a date, and then on that date, you have a reason to follow up.
What if they already started school, Joy?
Then I don't know. Then you're like, show me your first day of school picture. It's probably cooler than mine. Here's mine. And you can like make fun of yourself. I'm not terrible at this. I'm not good. But I'm definitely something in the middle.
As you can see, I have overanalyzed this, and it turns out that I don't know that I could have done it much better.
Well, I'm not helpful, but I do think you could have done it better.
Oh, on to our, what are we calling this?
Mental health moment.
Nice.
That was really in unison.
That was really intense.
Okay, this is from marriage counseling. My husband and I went to our first marriage counseling appointment, and I was really grateful. It was with the guy who did our premarital counseling, so we haven't seen him in like 5 years.
Oh, but that's an interesting follow-up.
Well, we couldn't really find anyone else to go to. Honestly, it's very expensive and it's hard to get in. And we were like, what about that one guy? And it was great. What we took away, I think you can apply as well. We just really wanted to put some focus on our relationship. We're not in trouble or anything, but here's what he told us. He said most fights, this actually applies to not marriages as well. Most fights will never be resolved, which sounds really negative and upsetting, but it's actually helpful. Because we often have the same fights over and over with people really close to us. And it's not a bad thing. All it means is that you are different people. You have different personalities, different histories, and you're going to view any situation differently. And he said when it comes up again, it just means that that situation needs to be remanaged. It doesn't mean that, oh, we haven't taken care of this thing. And that's what I do so often in my marriage. You tell me if this is you as well. But when we fight about something and my brain goes, oh, we're fighting about how we spend our time outside of the house again and like who's home when, and we've not been able to figure this out.
There's no solution.
Yeah, my brain goes, why are we not good at this? Like I'm sure other couples are good at this. Like we're a failure when it comes to time spent together and we haven't come up with a solution for this. But if there is no solution, that thought pattern is not correct.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely how I see it. And I like when you say that, I think of my husband and I, we do have the same fights. Like there's a trend, and it is because we're different people and we see things differently. I'm curious, after getting this advice, the next time whatever trigger it is in your marriage came up, were you able to better identify it as that and maybe approach it in a different way?
It's been so recent, I don't even know if we've had another moment like that, but I gave him a scenario and I said, okay, we fought about this the other day. We always fight about this. It was about how we spend our time and that my husband with his job has to take on a lot of things. And I said, this is how the fight went. And I said, I literally came into it being like, well, you're just going to have to say no to these things and this just has to change because I was already so angry. And he talked to us about trying to both come to one of these moments by saying, let's remanage this. So remanage means I'm not really supposed to already have a solution that I am demanding him to take.
And that's the thing is it's the demand, because when you build up that tension, a lot of times it just turns into well, you got to do this.
And when you fight about the same thing over and over, it builds up. And when it comes up, I think I go from 0 to 60 so much faster because I'm like, this again? Seriously? I mean, it's the stuff that pushes our buttons. And so I am trying to take on the mindset of we need to manage this together. So he said it would have been better if I came and said, this is not working time-wise for our family. Can you explain to me what you're thinking about it? Let me explain to you where I'm coming from, and we need a new way to manage this in our family. And he said, here's the thing, you may come up with a temporary, what feels like a solution for a few months, but life is ever changing. Yeah. And so even something that may work in your marriage for a few months, there could be something added or a health complication or more stress or you're out of town a lot and it brings something else back up, or you just have to change the way you were managing it. So it helped me go, we're going to do this for the rest of our marriage until God takes us home.
And that's healthy.
It is. It's actually healthy because when you're remanaging things, you're paying attention to your marriage. And I know we're not always going to land in a great place, which I don't like. I want a solution. I want to be like, every time this happens, we do blank. But it's never going to be that easy. And we're going to continually be like, how do we prioritize each other and our family and still meet the needs of our jobs?
Yeah. I have to tell you, though, my brain has kind of drifted because when you started talking about telling the counselor about the fight, I pictured you there with puppets, and I don't know why my brain went there.
That's because Bekah used to be on a puppet team back in the day.
I got a puppet scholarship for college.
I feel like that's what she wants to do in her therapy, and it might be helpful for you, girl. It might be.
But no, that's such good advice, and I think, like you said, even if it's not in a marriage, it helps you just in any kind of close relationship, any kind of interpersonal relationship, whether it's with a roommate, whether it's with a best friend, whether it's with a parent, just know that these things are going to come up again. And instead of ignoring them, instead of coming in full force, there is a way to meet in the middle and just continue to manage it. On to our mess and bless of the week. I'll go first.
Yes.
Is that cool? My mess, this actually happened earlier this year. I missed the headline. I read it this week, and I have not been able to stop thinking about it, so I wanted to bring it in here. Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, Bond villain probably, multi-billionaire or whatever. Earlier this year, he invested in an anti-aging company.
Oh, yeah.
$3 billion.
That's a lot of money.
And the whole purpose is to find ways to live a lot longer, maybe not forever, but live a lot longer. And so it's all this research on how to make, I don't know, cells rejuvenate, blah, blah, blah.
So it's not like anti-aging for our face.
No, it's like
for you to live longer.
Yes. And to appear more youthful. So it's just all kinds of icky to begin with. But also, I think it bothers me when I read stories about these really rich people who are so obviously vain and self-absorbed.
Well,
that is the way, and I'm not trying to just attack him, but I think
feel like we have on the podcast before.
I know we have, probably. I think that was Elon Musk last time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But I just feel like it's a really good example that money can't get you everything. Mm-mm. And I think when you reach that level of wealth, I wouldn't know, nowhere close to it, you just assume that anything can be solved.
Well, then you go, well, I'd like to hold on to this forever, so I have to live longer.
Right. And it just kind of creates this cycle. And look, I often have dreams of winning the lottery, Joy, and I talked about this recently when the jackpot got huge.
It's a great thing she didn't win. She would not spend the money reasonably.
But, I dream about it, how awesome it'd be to bless family and friends and take trips and have a beach house and give money away. I should have said that first, but it is on the list. But then when you look at it, when you zoom out and look at it, it's stories like this are a good reminder to me that while money can help you in a lot of ways, it is not the ultimate end goal in life. Mm-hmm. It can really corrupt you. And I'm not saying that Jeff Bezos specifically is corrupted, but I think it's a good example of how our minds can get twisted when we focus on it too much.
Well, yeah, I'm super glad I'm not super wealthy. I would be a villain. Who wants a villain named Joy?
Well, we already know you look like a criminal. So.
Well, I do. Someone probably called the cops on me this morning. And we already know someone who has tried to chase after youth and it didn't work out well. I'm talking about Mother Gothel on Rapunzel. All you have to do is brush your hair. Okay, Jeff? We don't need to invest billions. We just got to find Rapunzel.
Poor guy's bald.
Yeah. That's why he needs to find Rapunzel.
Also, when he started telling that story, I was like, what Bible character tried to do that? And then you pull out a Tangled reference.
That's all I could think about when you were like, just wants to stay youthful forever. Okay, my mess this week is a hilarious story about a man who broke into a church in Spokane. It was last week in the middle of the night. Someone saw someone inside with a flashlight, a broken window, and they called the cops. But as they were waiting for the cops to come, this guy, his name is, Grant. As Grant was coming out of the church, a skunk came out of nowhere and sprayed his whole body down. I mean, this is the most God-intervened thing I've ever heard of because I mean, what are the odds? I think God sent that skunk to teach him a lesson. You don't break into my house of worship, try to steal things. I'll come for you with the force of a stanky skunk.
And you were saying that as a pastor's kid, you've had this happen before, right?
Oh, yeah. People break into churches. They vandalize them. And it was traumatic as a kid because I also went to school in my church. So I was there more than I was home. And to come in one morning and someone had thrown a rock through the glass of a door and opened the door and they'd stolen money. I mean, one time they dragged an entire safe out of the building.
Goodness.
I mean, our church was downtown and it didn't feel safe all of a sudden, and it felt so offensive because I'm aware that it's God's house. And yes, money comes and goes, but you got to be pretty desperate to target a church. So this guy went to jail for, I think, only a night or two. He never ended up stealing anything, I think, because he probably noticed that the cops were called and people were onto him. And then he probably stunk so badly, they were like, just
go home.
Get
just
him out
leave.
of here.
Don't do it again.
Give him a jar of mayonnaise. Isn't that what you need?
Tomato juice.
I know nothing.
I think mayonnaise is for lice.
Have your dogs ever been sprayed?
No, but I have a friend. We have a friend actually who her dogs have been sprayed multiple times, and it's always been a mess because her husband's sense of smell doesn't work. So there was one time that her dogs got sprayed. They came back in the house. He didn't notice, so they were in the house for hours. And she gets
the
home.
whole house smelled like skunks.
Yes,
that's insanity. I don't know why God would let that happen to her, but He certainly let it happen to Grant.
We need to train some attack skunks, guard skunks for churches.
I don't hate that.
My bless of the week is about a 9-year-old boy named Sam. And Sam has been bullied a lot at school because he loves to sew. He even went to sewing camp recently. And so it was really touching when his dad got him a sewing machine to hear his reaction in the midst of all of the bullying he had endured.
It's a sewing machine! It's a star!
Are we liking that?
Yes! Yes, I am so liking it!
You could just hear his absolute joy and delight. He loves that it's the name brand. It's the really nice one. Yes.
I know. Those are really expensive.
And I love this story because I think so often, you know, when we see stories of girls playing football, we're like, yeah, go girl. Like, you can do anything. And I wish that we had that same energy for little boys when it's something that's not traditionally, you know, a masculine role.
Well, when I started thinking about this, I feel like most of the top name brands that are sold right now are owned by men.
Yeah.
They design, like Tommy Hilfiger and Christian Dior, they design these beautiful brands, but I don't know why we act like men can't do that.
Right. And I mean, so I think it was just really cool to hear his excitement, to hear parents that are like, you know what, this is what you're into, so that's what you're going to get. Like, it's not hurting anyone.
Well, did you see the follow-up video?
No.
The dad made a follow-up video. That's the only one that I've seen. And his son is like trying to make his first thing with his Singer sewing machine. And he's cutting out fabric and he's trying to make like a pocket, something to hold things in. And the dad goes, "Is that my T-shirt?" And he goes, "Yeah, I don't have any fabric yet." He was just cutting up his dad's
goodness,
clothes.
I missed that. Hey, you know what? That is going to be when he starts his multi-million-dollar fashion industry someday, his first runway show. His dad's going to be front row, and they can tell the story of the
like,
cut-up T-shirt.
I used Dad's tea. It was ugly.
Whatever.
It made a great pocket.
Inspiration.
Okay, my bless this week is very controversial. I'd love to get your take on it as we process it. There's a CEO who is catching a lot of heat, which I don't understand, for posting a selfie after laying people off. He is the CEO of a company called Hypersocial, and he had to lay a few people off the other day, and he broke down. He was so emotional and so upset that he had to do it that he posted a selfie and wanted to be honest about it online. But people are saying that it comes across as cringy and staged. But this is what he said. He said, "I made a bad business decision earlier this year, and I stuck with it too long, and I feel terrible. That's why these people are losing their job." And his post talks about how he wishes he was more cold-hearted and he could do things like this and not care like some CEOs, but it really gets to him. He does care, and he feels so badly that he's taken responsibility. He feels so badly his employees, they lost their jobs.
I feel I'm on the fence about this being your bless of the week.
Help me, because I just think it's really vulnerable and honest, and not enough business people do that.
So I saw the headline first, which you always have to read beyond the headline. And the headline was just something like CEO getting backlash after posting crying selfie after firing people. And I was like, ugh, that's so gross, icky. Ugh, why would you do that?
Really?
It just makes me think that he's playing the victim, like, look at me, I'm so sad. But when you read his caption, it does make me feel a little bit better that he's owning up to his mistakes. I still don't know that the crying selfie, I still think that's kind of icky because it is so self-serving.
Mm-hmm. But also, he can't post a picture of his employees and be like, they were great, someone hire them, this is my bad.
I mean, there's so many ways you can just post text to be like, I made a mistake, don't be me, I'm the worst. The end, without like, oh my goodness, feel sorry for me.
I guess I see what you're saying with the photo, but I really appreciated that in it, he made it so clear and said, this is my fault. And I think he posted it to LinkedIn, which is primarily a business place.
Yeah.
And I just thought how incredibly truth-telling to say, I made a bad business decision. And that happens all the time. And people don't want anyone to know because they might think poorly of your organization or you as a CEO. And he is saying, I didn't make the right call. I know their families are affected, their friends, and I always hire good people. So this is a really low moment for me.
I do hope that his post will draw enough attention to maybe get those employees rehired really quickly.
I hope.
Especially as he's talking about what quality employees they are. Also, speaking of LinkedIn, are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, but I don't know how to use it.
Right?
I haven't been on in 1,000 years.
Okay,
they send me emails.
I get all the emails. It's like, so-and-so wants to be in your network. And then I log in to try to figure it out, and it doesn't make any sense to me. And then I found out that if you look at other people's profiles, they get notified that you've been looking at them, which does not the vibe that I want.
I don't even know if what's on mine is accurate, but I definitely look younger. That picture's from like a decade ago. I look great. Look me up. I look so fantastic. Becca, that reminds me, we're in the middle of using new software for our company.
Oh, my goodness.
And don't feel bad if you ever start doing something new and you feel ancient and like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, because Becca and I were both saying that it makes us feel silly and incompetent because we have to interact using this new format. And I was born in the industry where computers were being made.
Yeah.
And like I had a cell phone in my teens. I'm not illiterate when it comes to this stuff, and I cannot figure it out.
I used to brag all the time that my parents would get me out of bed to work the DVD player as a kid. But yeah, this is next level. I don't know if it's an age thing or maybe it is just complicated, but every time I log in, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And every time I do something in this software, someone else comes in and undoes it, which makes me think it's not right.
This is how Becca and I are even like getting certain things like video of podcasts and stuff to you, and we're like, I don't know how to access it. So I don't actually know if you'll be getting any more of that.
Well, yeah, the videos from the Hope Darst interview last week. We have another interview coming up in a couple weeks. If you saw those videos, it is a small miracle from God.
I don't know how to view them to approve them. I hope someone just posts it. I don't know. Thank you so much for listening. If you got something out of this episode, we would love if you would share it with a friend. To be notified every time there's a new episode, simply text the word MESS, MESS, to 91979. And if you have anything you want to share with us, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at holymess@wayfm.com. Thanks for being a part of our messy family.